Happy
Oh,
Friday, Courtney. How
oh,
are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thanks. I've had a productive morning.
Oh, well, somebody should. I mean,
Uh, I know.
it wasn't me today. I was a slow start on the day, and it's been a little bit like that all day long. That's fine. I'm in Mexico. You're in San Diego area, San Diego. These are
Yeah,
very chill places. We don't need to, rush
we
any.
have no reason to be stressed out by
No, not at all.
anything.
Not at all. And it's Friday, so that's good news as well.
Yeah,
I'm amazed it's already August because that means that the exhibition at Maryland Art Place is like a month away, basically. And I'm like, wow, it seems like a year ago we were talking about it, and now it just suddenly arrived. And
I know.
are like trying to, pump up the energy and like get back into that production mode. That
Yeah,
it's kind of a always a challenge to get started. Once it's going though, it's nonstop.
yeah.
I'm excited to talk to you about you have a current show on Artsy,
Hmm.
Coloring Is, and we're releasing new pieces every few weeks. So today we're going to be releasing some new pieces into that show until we get through the entire. How many images are in that series that we're showing? Like 32?
Right now, it's about I think 25
Okay.
to 27, and I have a few more colors that I'm actually editing now to send.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's good. I mean, I'm really going to dive into this particular series because I think it's really fascinating, and I kind of want to hear a little bit more about the journey of this project, where it started from, and the significance for you, and like we'll get into details as we go along. So,
Yeah, sure.
the journey of this? Where did Colorinas come from?
I do quite a bit of um, male form work, and I always wanted to stick to that because I feel like it's been something that has been um, kind of disruptive because the male body seems to be, even in the art world, something taboo sometimes, which is kind of uh, unfair and also strange to me.
Right.
Um, so I enjoy using that form as a way to disrupt just because the idea of art to me is to disrupt. That's what it's for,
Right.
like I think that in some way you can find um something disruptive about any piece of art that you find.
Particularly if you
um,
place it within the context of when it was made. I mean,
yeah.
things we wouldn't consider disruptive today when you go into a fine art museum at the
Hmm.
time were more radical than, anything
Yeah,
you can think of currently contemporary.
yeah, I always have that in mind when I'm working, and I it's been a very interesting year, with the current
Environment, yes.
environment overall. Here in California, we've been experiencing a lot uh, of focused brown and immigrant hatred,
Right.
and it's
Other.
been really
It's the other.
other. It's the
Yeah, it's
otherness.
othering of people in our communities.
Yeah, and so it's like you're saying, it's bled into all of our communities
Mhm.
everywhere, and it's like if you're other than what the powerful want to look at, you are somehow bad or whatever, whatever the thing is, the negative connotation. I've been I've been feeling a lot like I needed to express myself in a less negative way, and I've
Mhm.
had some works that have been kind of deep and kind of dark, or if they're not dark, they seem kind of complicated and involved, and so I wanted to go ahead and do something colorful and beautiful. I wanted to capture movement, and as a trained classical ballet dancer, I definitely wanted to include forms and gestures that not always represent dancing, but just movement and the influence of the how the conversation of dance triggers that happiness inside us, you know,
Sure.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think
um,
that genuinely looking at the pieces, I said to you when I was working on the administration side of the database for your show, I was like, the images just make me smile. Um, I mean, maybe it's a combination of colors, the attention to the form, and the way the light is working, and um, it's very hard to approach it with a negative for me to approach it with a negative vision of it. It's just beautiful to look at. And sometimes in art, when we have strong feelings like you're expressing about the current conditions of things politically and otherwise culturally, um, the the impetus, the inspiration usually leads towards darker imagery and horror and sadness or something. And it's interesting to me that you have made a conscious decision to create something in opposition to that,
well, it's something new for me.
right?
I like to express what is currently, you know, there, but I wanted to also experiment with the the ideas of just bringing back something from the past that's exciting, or even in childhood. I'm sorry, I just want to silence some things. Uh, to to bring something like coloring to life in a different way, but also remind myself that that's kind of where it started.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's that happiness that we have always um, found in colorful things, whether it's like flowers or the crayons that we use at school, or whatever. I wanted to do that, but just do it differently. And what's
Sure.
really funny is, um, in each shoot, I have had some malfunctions of lights, and only one light would go off. And
Mm-hmm.
as you've seen in the series, there's always two lights on everything. And it seems like each time that happens, the most, I'm just going to say, the most artistic image comes out in the single light, because, all of the things we look for in aesthetics and whatnot. But I had to I had to just keep telling myself that that's not actually what this is about. It's
Mm-hmm.
about um, it's about coloring. It's about just doing something that sometimes is messy because of the whatever kind of crayon you use, or whatever pastel or paint, um, the movement.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always perfect, and
Sure.
I really wanted to not find the most perfect image, the most perfect gesture. The you know I really wanted to capture a much more organic, more natural,
Mm.
less alt, I guess,
Sure.
less
And
high
I have
art
to say,
looking things.
well, and I see that because I was a art director for Dance Magazine for a couple years in New York City, and I'm in
Mm-hmm.
the habit of looking at dance images. I loved being the art director for this publication because um, it's a I think it's a very dance has a very queer sensibility to it, and that you actually celebrate the male form, you elevate the male form, and then you have these very athletic moments that the camera can catch that show the sort of the extent to what the human body can actually do. So
Mm-hmm.
I wish my body could still do that. But
Same. Same.
um, but I when I saw it, I was thinking in the same vein. It's like I'm so used to seeing these purified images, and the dance moves are so specifically perfect and referential. And I love the organic nature of this sort of sense of um, play that was within it. And I thought that was really important. And I think if I
Yeah.
had seen the same thing a year ago, I might have felt differently. But as you said, like in the context of the world we're in today, this makes me smile. This brings me joy. So
Yeah. And it's fun to see that process, and that smile in person too, because most of the most of the subjects they're not professional anything within photography or modeling or dancing or like it, not at all. Um, and so when I'm asking them to do some things, they're like, "This feels so weird. It's so awkward." And I'm like, "It doesn't matter. It's just we just want to capture you moving through it.
Right,
We just want to see what happens.
right.
Fall. Do your best at making a gesture, and that's it."
And are the subjects, the models with you're using here, are they all dancers?
No, in fact, only one of them was like he's currently a dancer. Um, he's trained in dance in numerous ways, but um, he's an aerial artist now, and that's the man who posed for Yellow, which is
Okay.
I think up right now. So
Yes.
he is a professional in many ways, but most of the time in any of my work, I never ask for uh, specific things, except for one thing I'm working on that needs to be culturally specific, you know.
Right.
But most of the time, it's not like I'm not looking for the most fit or the most whatever.
Right.
Uh, Again, to me, it's so important to represent every way that we can do these things,
Sure.
and
Absolutely.
that's everyone is achieving the same kind of happiness, whether they have a belly or whether they have, whatever. Uh,
Man. Preach. Preach. Preach.
Same. Like, I remember when I didn't, but I still love the way I move now,
Well,
even with a
no,
belly.
yeah. Well, I put a mirror in the kitchen. It's not helping at all.
Oh no, that's not a good place to have a mirror. Don't they advise against that?
I'm rethinking the entire thing about that. I digress.
Uh,
Are you friends with all your models? There seems to be a level of intimacy to get this kind of work out of them.
I I have met the majority of my models the first time at the photo shoot,
Oh,
and some of them I do become friends with. Not always. I mean, we stay acquainted and we remain, friendly, but not always.
I guess how do you work with models to get that level of intimacy out of them?
To get them to be naked in front of me.
It's not the nudity isn't the intimacy. It's there's like a freedom within their gestures and movements that I think in tip
Yeah,
circumstances would be difficult to get a model to do
yeah,
who used to more static, less
yeah,
oriented.
yeah. It's interesting that you bring that up because it is. You're right. It's not just being naked. It's moving around,
Mm-hmm.
um, doing really uncomfortable things, and uh, like there's so many ways that this person could be uncomfortable in front of someone who's focused on their body, and um, for the most part, people have been uh, excited to do it
Mm-hmm.
in some way, even if they're nervous. And when they
Sure.
do come in and they feel nervous, we talk for a minute. um, I think one of the things that helps to, as a photographer, um, for any subject, whether they're naked or not, is uh, just getting to know the person a little bit before you start, or using test shots as a way to get them in front of the camera before anything happens,
Mm-hmm.
and that usually calms a little bit of the nerves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think sometimes it's just jumping in. Uh,
Sure. So, as a dancer, a former dancer, who is in a different part of life, and working with these models, what do you see of yourself in the images that you've created?
Oh man, a
Whoa.
lot of things. A lot of things. Um, I think I see a lot of beauty in the more difficult parts of the journey of training as an artist in any way.
Sure.
Because we go through, those of us who go through a more classical training, there is an experience of this militancy
Mm,
within the art form. And I know that it happens for people who paint as well, and singers. And I appreciate that. And it was actually the classical side of things has always been like the biggest interest to me, and it felt the best for my body to do.
mhm,
But I found myself feeling a lot like it was it was inhibiting my ability to see the beauty in it
mhm,
at a certain point. You train so hard for that technique, and at a certain point you finally have to just say that it doesn't matter anymore.
mhm.
And that is really hard to do.
But
It's
it's free,
so hard for
free.
everyone.
Yeah, but
But it is.
freeing as well. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a liberation. I think that that comes with experience and wisdom
Yeah.
as well.
And it's the same thing with finding the that perfection in some of those images that were not going to be in the series because they didn't have two light sources in them, because I wanted the contrast of two colors.
Right, right.
But they were really the best photos. They're the best photos if you're looking at it technically and all of that.
Sure.
And I
I love your,
just
I like your saying that because I remember, I mean, I think we started talking a few months before we actually put the show up, but I knew that you were going through this process of discerning which images you wanted to show that told the story that you're telling.
yeah,
Um, so that reads in the final selection,
yeah,
and that sort of like intentional um, uh, combination of lighting and how the light changes and how the colors change. Do the colors
yeah.
themselves have specific significance for you, or is it just the rainbow
Mm,
of color?
no, there was no significance for each color to me. I
Okay.
actually asked the models to choose their color.
Oh, interesting. Oh, I didn't know.
um,
That's actually really interesting because
yeah,
uh, that sort of ties the relationship of the color even closer to the model, the subject, rather than the artist. Interesting.
yeah. I wanted it to be part of, again, like what was expressed by the person who was
Mhm.
being photographed.
Sure.
Um, I felt like my job in that was just to capture it.
Mhm.
I have to set everything up and whatnot, but I asked them, and
Right. Right.
so yeah, it shows a lot about the person,
Uh-huh.
um, and I think it helps with expressing that happiness in their movement, and the
Mhm.
the joy in that they found in just participating in the project,
Sure. Sure.
and that was more important than me being like, I think that this color would be better for your skin tone or
Sure.
for your shape or whatever, all
You're
of
a
the different
fuchsia,
things.
baby. You're a fuchsia. Admit
Yeah.
it.
Like, uh, so, because there are many ways that I could have chosen those things, and I wanted them to. So yeah, but that was good. I forgot what I was saying before, but
I mean, I get it. I mean, it's like, again, it's that, going back to that question about working with models and how to make them feel comfortable, and you give them some autonomy and a space within which they can feel comfortable. That's not something small. Even with professional models, I would imagine they would get put in many instances in which they could be made to feel uncomfortable, or outside of their comfort zone. So
Yeah.
that's pretty phenomenal. So
The other reason that I've noticed that it's hard to use professional models, I have done photo shoots for professional models, and they're difficult to work with in
right,
in a way that you know I forget who said it. I can't remember now, but they were like, I hate. They said something about disliking photographing actors because they can't get them to stop acting,
right,
and it's the same for models.
sure, of course.
It's difficult to get a great shot of a model that can't stop acting.
Yeah, and I think that's not a comment on them. It's a comment on the system within they work.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
and there's a code,
Yeah.
that they have to follow
So
in order to fit into those roles, which are
right.
all generalized and have very little to do with diversity, humanity.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all these layers to that whole thing, which is, part of
Mhm.
our culture and the way, particularly with men, how uh, we make binary, um, sexuality and gender and other things as well. So
Mhm.
I think what's important is to, different than within queer art in the 80s and 90s when we were fighting AIDS, and the perception of our community, the body was politicized in a very specific way, which I think
Yeah.
currently is being played out again with the trans community,
Yeah.
but is emblematic of a broader cultural issue with gender and the way those roles are expressed. Um,
Yeah.
so that's what I like about your work, is it allows these men to be masculine men, in ways that aren't firmly masculine, and they're, exhibitionist, voyeuristic. It's like a blend of all of them. It's not a colonization of the body.
Right. Right. And I really appreciate you noticing.
Yeah,
Honestly,
yeah. No, I mean
it's
it's
really important to me.
yeah, I think it's important to recognize that and to call it out. So if somebody doesn't see that within the work, maybe being given the context, they can see that and then find that in other parts of their lives as well. That's the
Yeah.
power part, right? That you see something
Absolutely.
and it affects you in a way that you draw that into other parts of your life and it can change things. What do you think
Hmm.
the role of the artist is, with these cultural problems we're having, these conflicts?
It's the same as what I said in the beginning. We need to disrupt that narrative.
Right,
Um, and a way to do that is this.
right,
I photograph gay, straight, trans, old, young, skinny, fat, everybody.
right.
Um, and there will be examples of that in the entire series. I
Mm,
try I try really hard to make sure that there is um, some representation there, um, especially when we're talking, like, I'll keep on that same subject about trans men.
mhm.
I I find it so difficult understanding why it's so hard for us to just say that they are part of our male community. It's
Sure.
just I'm searching for men when I'm asking for models,
Right, right.
and it's I wish that it wasn't difficult for a trans man to contact me without going through someone else
Mhm.
saying that they would like to participate,
Sure.
because I want I want that to just be included
Right.
without having to say trans man. That just, like, it's hard for me to say it now. Like, I wish that I didn't have to make that specific word so that everyone understands that
Right.
that's going to be there, you know.
Sure. Right.
um
I mean, I think that's why I'm drawn to the word queer over the
yeah,
alphabet of letters that are available to us, which by
yeah.
the way is limited in the number eventually, which
Mhm.
we've already discovered because we put plus 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 at the end of it,
Yeah,
so I think queer is more encompassing, and it gives people space to move. It just
yeah,
it's a playground. It's like it just allows you to be who you are without having to necessarily pin down specific language. I mean, that's the ideal. Obviously, like culturally, like we specifically find ourselves in conflict with the traditional language, and that's why the whole DEI withdrawal thing.
yeah,
Too much, too
yeah.
fast. You made me think too much. I need to go back to my comfort zone. Sort of culture.
Yeah,
It's unfortunate and not unprecedented. I mean, it's
yeah.
historical. It's part of our history. I don't think you can get us to go back in the box. I think it's too late culturally.
Yeah, I
Once you've accepted RuPaul into your home,
and they all have.
and they all have at every corner of culture,
Even MAGA.
even MAGA. Yeah, yas, queen, yas. I
Oh
heard Trump
man.
say that in a quote recently. Um,
Oh my God.
that would be the death. Uh, yeah. So I'm curious, thinking about the projects that you're working on here with Coloring Is, and like who you were as a young boy, a young man in the world. What would you say to yourself? Because between now and that time, a lot of changes happened and a lot of things haven't changed. So I'm wondering, what would you say to yourself? I'm avoiding inner child here.
Uh, well, I mean, I've been in a lot of therapy.
Yes,
been
yes.
in, I've been in so much therapy over the years,
We thank you for
and
it.
uh, you know, I grew up in a very religious um, home, and I had a lot of shame, and I think that I I think that if I was looking at my younger self and saying, you know what you could do, um, keep doing everything you can,
Mm,
and I'm proud of uh, that aspect of myself that has always been there from the start. Is that if I wanted to do something,
mhm.
I kind of just did it full tilt. Like I went right into the thing, whatever it was. And I think that it gave me the experience and the courage, early in my teens to come out. And if I if I didn't have that, you know, think for myself, like bug under my skin, I I know that it just would have been so much more difficult.
Sure.
And but I don't know. I What would I tell my young self? Probably just hang in there. It's
Right.
it's
Well, what
getting
would you
better.
let me delocate that a little bit for you. What advice would you give to a younger artist?
Similarly, be brave.
Mm. What is
Um,
bravery? What is bravery?
I think in whatever way you would like to show your creativity, um, your because I think at first it's not always about, you know, maybe sometimes it's never about showing yourself through your art, but I think when you accept that you can show all of yourself
Mhm.
in it, that is incredibly courageous.
Right.
And I think that that's another one of those things that as artists, we tend to shy away from because we're so worried about technique.
Right.
And regardless of if you're a queer person or not, um, not being so focused all the time on technique, maybe not just for yourself, but when you're observing art, throw technique away and just observe the art.
Mhm.
You know, um, let it move you. I just, uh, I mean, I'm not, I'm not a great motivational speaker, but I just wish that more people would allow
I don't know if we
things to
need,
move them. You
I
know?
don't know. I don't know. We need more motivational speakers. I think we need more honest voices.
Yeah,
And that I appreciate the vulnerability more than I appreciate the polish of a motivational speaker. I think that's a cultural commodification of vulnerability, to be
yeah,
an influencer or to be a
yeah,
motivational, speaker sort of thing. It's
yeah,
powerful. I agree, and
yeah,
you feel emotions, but I often walk away and I think, man, where am I in my life that I need this in order to access that emotion, that I need somebody else in front of me compelling me to feel something instead of it just being a part of my own natural existence. So to me that's kind of it's like, oh, might as well go join a cult.
yeah. I've been there.
We all
I
have. I
can
mean,
definitely tell
I grew
you.
up in a religious family as well, so there we go. There are all kinds of different cults out there. uh,
Yeah,
there are some cults within queer art. I mean,
there are.
there definitely are.
There are.
And boy, wow. I can't wait to see that 60 minutes expose.
Yeah. Uh, I don't think it's gonna go in 60 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Uh, I feel like explicit doesn't even reach some of the things that we find within queer art sometimes.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
far as that goes, like I really like it, but I don't think that 60 minutes is gonna grab
No,
it.
no, no. And I had this, I mean, I think a little controversial on my side of things. I'm very thoughtful and intentional about the way the human form is exhibited within the project, the gallery space, art fairs, and all the other things,
Mhm.
because there is a history within queer art that is so was important in terms of its historical context, showing the body, pornographic and erotic and all these different things. That was very important in that time because of what politically was happening with AIDS, and I think
Yeah,
that that momentum is not contextually important to today when I can pick up a device and see pornography on my phone.
yeah,
I can walk down the street and see it on the
yeah,
board. I turn on my
yeah,
TV. It's there for me all the time. So I challenge queer artists to
yeah,
think outside of that and to think about the context of their work, because the male form, the female form, the any form is beautiful in its own right and deserves the story that goes with that. That the sort of carnalization can remove, because it
yeah,
activates, normally it's human nature, it activates a
yeah,
different part of us. It stimulates a different thought process. So I think
yeah,
I love what you're doing with the human form and how intentional it is, and again, it does make one feel happy to look at it. I don't know if it's the colors. I love the idea of,
yeah,
I did a gay porn coloring book in college, because I wanted to see if I can get straight people to interact with gay porn. But that
yeah.
that was the 90s. Let's
I bet some people did.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it's coloring, so coloring is fun.
yeah, right.
So
Exactly. It's what,
it's
yeah, it
a
takes you there.
right, yeah. I mean, it's an activity we do as kids. We get to express ourselves, and we're celebrated for it. By the way, like
Mhm.
if we could, as mature artists, be celebrated for the way we colored coloring books back then. And now, that'd be amazing. Well, I
Yeah,
do appreciate you taking the time to um, talk to me about the Coloring This series and what we're presenting on Artsy. And as I said, we'll be adding more images in. There'll be more out today, but that'll be, after this is edited. So
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense. Why am I saying that? Just to say that, every 3 or 4 weeks, there'll be something new there, and you should definitely come back and check it out on artsy.net with the Bureau of Queer Arts. And this will be presented in the podcast, and we'll have a feature. You'll be in the Maryland Art Play Show coming up in Baltimore, Maryland at September 11th is the opening during the Bromo Art Walk. We're expecting like 5,000 visitors. That's exciting.
So cool.
Yeah. And then, of course, she'll be presenting a different project, which we'll talk about later. But you'll be presenting a different project at Immortal, the queer art fair during Dia de Muertos in Mexico City, which Bureau of Queer Art is producing. It's our first propio, what is that, owned art fair. And I'm super excited about it. I have to say, every time I have a conversation, I get more and more excited about it. I'm just like, it's not gonna make any money, but God damn it, is it gonna be fun? And is it going to be
it's
like
gonna be so good?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be running around with Scotch tape and silver tape holding things up, but it's going to be amazing. And
I've produced art shows. They are expensive, and they usually cost more than you make from it.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely, yeah. It's a ridiculous.
What if your art didn't just hang on a wall? What if it stood in the middle of a celebration of life, death, and queer resistance? This is Immortal, queer, ruidoso y chingón. A queer art fair like no other, right here in Mexico City, steps from the heart of Dia de Muertos Festival. We're not hidden away in some corner gallery. We are centered, loud, joyful, and defiant, surrounded by altars, processions, and centuries of tradition. And we bring our own. Apply now and join a global crew of queer and allied artists, building a space that isn't about permission, it's about presence, it's about community, it's about being seen.